I'm going to ask folks to find their seats because we'd like to start on time at 10 o'clock.
Can we do a quick test with the captioner? Somebody was perfect. Thank you.
Barbara, are we good to go? Yeah. All right. Welcome and thank you all for coming. Oh, wow, that's super loud. I'm going to put that far away from me.
I like the enthusiasm.
Wow. Okay, so the microphones are super sensitive, so I'm going to try to keep that off to the side because I have a loud voice to start. Welcome. Thank you all for coming. I'm Miriam Barcelona Ingenito. I'm the Undersecretary at the Government Operations Agency and the Chair of the California Building Standards Commission. And I am calling this meeting to order. It is 10:01 a.m. on August 1st, 2023. Ms. Maeda, would you please call the roll?
Undersecretary Ingenito,
Present.
Commissioner Mickelton, Commissioner Sasaki,
Here.
Commissioner Haskin,
Here.
Commissioner Patel,
Here.
Commissioner Stockwell,
Here.
Commissioner Rambin,
Here.
Commissioner Legray, Commissioner Klaus-Buckner, Commissioner Santillan,
Here.
Commissioner Ramirez. Thank you.
We have a quorum. Thank you, Ms. Maeda. And let's all rise and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, it is so great to see you all in person. This is, I think, the first time this meeting has been in person in almost 2 years, I think. And it is certainly the first time I'm getting to meet the commissioners in person. So thank you, thank you. Just a couple of items of housekeeping before I turn this over to Kevin for more housekeeping and Bagley Keene. I will be handing off the gavel at the lunch break. I do unfortunately have a medical appointment this afternoon. And so Gabriel Ravel will be covering for the Government Operations Agency in my place until I can return. I will certainly be back tomorrow for sure, but wanted to let you all know of that little disruption that will be happening. And then we do have at least one of our members that was unable to attend in person today, but still wanted to participate. And so Commissioner Klaus-Buckner will be participating as a member of the public remotely because of the rules of the Bagley Keene Open Meetings Act. We are not at this time until the legislation changes, we're not allowed to have our board members in another location unless it is open to the public. So in order to accommodate her, she we would still value and want to hear her perspective. And so if I call on her out of order and in a weird spot from what we normally do, that is the reason. I think I've covered my kind of housekeeping issues. I'm going to pass this to you, Mr. Day.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kevin Day, Acting Executive Director of the California Building Standards Commission. And before reading the meeting and Zoom instructions, I'd just like to share a few housekeeping items. In the event of an emergency and we need to evacuate the building, there are pretty much exits in all four corners. The exits on, let's see, my left, your right, will take you right outside the building. And these exits on my right, your left, will take you back out to the lobby. And the nearest restrooms, if you go out this side of the building, this exit and just right under the stairwell, they're on the right in the hallway over there, and there are no codes to get in. So yeah, CBSC meetings operate under the requirements of the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act set forth in Government Code sections 11-120 through 11-133. CBSC public meetings conducts public meetings to ensure adequate opportunity and participation and to perform a technical review of the code changes pursuant to Health and Safety Code section 18930 in California Building Standards Law. Materials reviewed during the meetings are available for public review and comment on the CBSC website. Members of the public may also contact CBSC to request a copy of the materials. This commission meeting has been scheduled for 3 days. In the event the commission completes the agenda items prior to August 3rd, 2023, the commission will adjourn the meeting on the day that it completes the agenda items and will not convene the next day. We will likely break for lunch around 12:30 each day of the meeting as needed. And for the benefit of our captioners, we will likely take short breaks approximately every 90 minutes or so. The public may provide comments on each agenda item by calling in on the Zoom teleconference number provided in the meeting agenda or by using the raise hand feature in Zoom. For members of the public in person in the auditorium, please complete a request to address the commission form or speaker cards if you wish to comment on a specific agenda item. The form is buff in color and is available at a table located near the meeting room entrance in the back. Please turn the completed form in to a CBSC staff person. Instructions are also provided on the CBSC webpage. If you have difficulty with the technology, please contact the CBSC office main line at area code 916-263-0916. I will now read the public comment and Zoom instructions. If you wish to make a comment on a specific agenda item, please listen for the commission chair to ask for any comments from the public. The chair will first go to members of the public in the auditorium that have submitted speaker cards. The chair will then call on members of the public participating on the Zoom webinar that have their hands raised. Then the commission chair will take comments from the public on the Zoom phone line. At this time, please take yourself off of mute. If you like, you may announce your name and who you are representing before making your comment. Please mute yourself when you are finished commenting. The chair will continue through the call queue until there are no questions remaining. The commission will then proceed to the next agenda item. If possible, please call from a landline using the telephone handset only. This enhances the commission's ability to hear your comments clearly. Calling in from a speakerphone or a cell phone reduces the quality and makes it much harder for comments to be heard clearly. CBSC staff will summarize any written comments that were received by 5:00 p.m. Monday, July 24th, 2023. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I thought we did minutes next, but we don't do them for a bit. Okay, let's take the comments from the public on issues not on the agenda. So we're on agenda item number 2. If there is anybody in the public that would like to make comments regarding items not currently agendized, I would like to invite you to, if you're in the room, to fill out a comment card if you have not already done so, or put yourself in the queue on Zoom. And I just would like to remind the public that this would be your time to later in the agenda, I will be asking commissioners for any items they would like to hear at future board meetings. This is your time as members of the public to make any comments about items you'd like to hear in the future. So having heard that, do we have a couple of members that would like to make comments?
Yes, Madam Chair. We received one speaker card from Michael Malinowski.
Please come forward.
I'm not sure this would be appropriate time. Might know on us, you here on behalf of AI.
The microphone. Is it green? Here? Oh, there.
Here on behalf of AI California, my interest is in the order of items on the agenda. I'm not sure if this is the appropriate time, but we have two items that we're particularly interested in, 14 and 15. And I know there's going to be some conversations about the agenda order, but because of the number of entities and individuals we have wishing to speak on those two items, and also the great amount of interest on the matter of the public on item 16, we would like to be part of the conversation in terms of how the agenda is structured.
Thank you. I would like to, okay, thank you for that. And I'll bring that to the commission in just a moment. Thank you. Are there any other members of the public that would like to make comments for items that are not on the agenda? Or would like to add future agenda items? Ms. Tersley, do we have anybody on Zoom?
We do have a hand raised in Zoom. Chris Walker.
Good
Go ahead.
morning. Good morning, commissioners. My name is Chris Walker. I'm speaking to you on behalf of the California Sheet Metal Air Conditioning Contractors, representing about 600 union contractors throughout the state of California. We have an issue, communication issue between the commission and local building officials that we would like to see remedied as soon as possible. We are doing our level best to implement the governor's vision of 6 million heat pumps throughout the state by 2030. And unfortunately, we have a code issue right now that needs to be addressed. Specifically, it has to do with GFCI circuits and our heat pumps and air conditioning units. The current electric code, California Electric Code 210.8F, requires a GFCI breaker on all AC units or heat pumps. They're just simply not compatible this time because the amp load that hits these breakers when these units start up. The NFPA and the NEC have both reviewed the issue, and they would like to give equipment manufacturers time to catch up. And they've delayed enforcement. NEC has issued a TIA that has delayed enforcement until September 1st, 2026. Unfortunately, California has not adopted the NEA TIA and has not communicated anything to local building departments. So what's happening is the local building departments are requiring our contractors to put these GFCI breakers on these units, and they're tripping, which is causing the customer to have to go back to their unit and reset the GFCI constantly. It's quite an issue that's interrupting service and is actually causing a problem as these GFCIs are constantly being tripped. Can we see any communication from the state to our local building departments to help resolve this issue? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Walker. And thank you for bringing this to our attention. We've actually received similar comments on this issue and have coordinated with elements of the industry and are working on an information bulletin that will kind of highlight the issue. So we hope to have that issued shortly. And actually, it would be great if you could reach out to us offline and contact the main office so we could coordinate a little bit further on this. Thank you very much.
That would be terrific. Is there a particular name I should reach out to?
You can address it to me, Kevin Day. That'd be great. Thank you, Mr. Walker.
Thank you, Kevin. All right, bye-bye.
So there are no other hands raised in Zoom. We do have one phone participant. So the person ending in phone number 7713, if you had a comment, now is the time. Yeah, I will take that as a no. There are no further public comments.
Great. Thank you for that. Moving on to agenda item number 3, the executive director's report. Mr. Day will provide an overview of the commission's business.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hello again, everyone. I just wanted to provide a brief summary on the activities that have transpired during the 2022 intervening code adoption cycle leading up to this meeting. For the last 6 months, CBSC staff have been administering 30 code packages from the state agencies that have authority to propose or adopt building standards for Title 24. The state agencies held pre-cycle workshops from late spring to early fall 2022, followed by 5 code advisory committee meetings. The CAC recommendations can be found in the commission action matrices. Public comment periods were conducted in spring 2023, and then the final rulemaking documents were submitted to staff, many of which were approved at the June CBSC meeting. Today, the commissioners will be asked to take action on the remaining 12 packages. CBSC staff work continues as we are already working with the various publishers to get this intervening code supplement to the 2022 edition of Title 24, published by January 1st, 2024. This accomplishment is done with the cooperation and collaboration with all the state agencies that you will hear from today. And I extend my sincere gratitude to the CBSC staff and all state agency participants and leaders for their dedication and professionalism to get through this phase of the process. As we stated during the June commission meeting, we will soon be soliciting the call for applications to reform the code advisory committees for the next triennial cycle. And then next I was going to talk about taking the items out of order. So, so as Mr. Malinowski mentioned before, we have received a couple requests to take agenda items slightly out of order. The first request we received from Linda Hutchins Knowles with the Electric Vehicle Charging Coalition for All to hear agenda item 16, which is the Department of Housing and Community Development, HCD 0422, Part 11, at a specified date and time. Additionally, we received the request from Mr. Malinowski with the American Institute of Architects to hear agenda items 14 and 15. I'm sorry, agenda item 14, BSC 0422, Part 11, and agenda item 15, DSA 0122, Part 11, at a specified date and time. The chair and commission may wish to consider reserving discussion for these 3 Cal Green items until the beginning of Wednesday, August 2nd at 9 a.m. This would ensure that most, perhaps all business on agenda items 1 through 13 can be concluded today, and would also ensure that the 3 Cal Green items are heard at a specified date and time on the second day of the meeting. This concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions and see how the commission would like to proceed with the requests.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Day. This item is open for discussion by the commissioners. I would like to express, I think, based on our abilities last month, was it last month? Month before, we were able to get through significant number of these. So I'm expecting that we will be able to get through 1 through 13 today. And on the natural, we would take up 14, 15, 16 tomorrow morning, but I'm happy to open this up for your comments. Do I go in order or do I just? Does anyone know?
Commissioner Sasaki,
Thank you.
I agree with moving those items to tomorrow morning.
Thank you. Any other members' comments on the report in general? All right, sorry.
We're okay.
I don't think that we need a motion. I think that we can just do that. So fantastic. Our expectation is to actually get through 1 through 13 today. And then either way, even if we do not, we will start with items 14, 15, and 16 tomorrow with the hope that I can put you all back on planes and in your cars and get everybody home for that third day if possible. We'll bring some efficiency to this. Okay, are there any comments from the public on this item? In the room? On Zoom?
There are no hands raised in Zoom. We do have one phone participant 7713. If you have a comment, now's the time. It looks like there's no comment.
Great. Thank you so much. Moving on to, so look at this. We're already on agenda item 4, guys. Which is review and approval of the May 5th, 2023 meeting minutes. Do you have, for agenda item number 4, commissioners, do you have any comments regarding the May 5th, 2023 meeting minutes? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion on the May 5th, 2023 meeting minutes.
Commissioner Patel, move to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Commissioner Stockwell, second.
You can Rochambeau for that. Stockwell with a second. It has been moved and seconded. The meeting minutes will be accepted. Let's see here. Do I need to call the roll or can we just do, we have to call the roll on everything? All right, let's call the roll, please.
Commissioner Sasaki,
Aye.
Commissioner Rambin,
Aye.
Commissioner Stockwell,
Aye.
Commissioner Alegre,
Aye.
Commissioner Santillan, Commissioner Patel,
Aye.
and Commissioner Haskin.
Aye.
6-0. That motion carries. All right, agenda items 5 through 16. So the California Building Standards Commission will take action to approve, disapprove, return for further study, or approve as amended the proposed code changes to various parts contained in the California Building Standards Code, Title 24, California Code of Regulations. The California Building Standards actions will be guided by the 9-point criteria, which is on our desks here for us for quick handy reference, established in Health and Safety Code section 18930. The California Building Standards Commission will consider each agency's proposed building standards and its justifications, code advisory committee's recommendations, comments submitted during the public comment periods, and oral or written comments received at this meeting. The public may comment on any code advisory committee recommendations or challenges to the proposal submitted during the comment period. No new issues or information challenging the proposed changes may be presented to the California Building Standards Commission in the adoption of the proposed regulations. So having said that, moving to agenda item number 5 is the Office of Statewide Health Planning and Development, or affectionately called OSHPD, for their package 04-22. The proposed adoption of amendments to the 22 California Electrical Code, Part 3, Title 24. Will the representative from the Office of the Statewide Health and Planning and Development Office please introduce yourself, come forward, please introduce yourself and provide an overview of item number 5. Welcome. Good morning.
My name is Jamie Schnick. All righty. Morning. My name is Jamie Schnick. I'm a senior electrical engineer in the Building Standards Unit at OSHPD. OSHPD is an office of the State Department of Healthcare Access and Information. This proposal is for the 2022 Intervening California Electric Code Part 3. This 17 proposed amendments we'll be discussing today were presented to the Hospital Building Safety Board Codes and Processes Committee on July 14th, 2022 and October 13th, 2022. The same code package was submitted to the California Building Standards Commission on December 1st, 2022 and was heard by the CBSC Plumbing, Electrical, Mechanical, and Energy Code Advisory Committee on March 15th and 16th. As noted on the Commission Action Matrix, the CAC recommended disapproval of two items, items number 1 and number 6. We'd like to move forward with item number 1, and we have withdrawn item number 6. I'll provide an explanation as to why once we get started. No public comments were received during the 45-day public comment period held from April 21st to June 5th, 2023. And our proposal summary is the proposed action is to make technical amendments to Title 24, Part 3. For brevity, I provide an overview of the major proposed code changes categories, as there are just a few. These categories include: number 1, we're proposing to add language from the national adopted 2023 National Electric Code into the 2022 California Electric Code, in effect allowing adoption 18 months early. Second category, we've added code language for new requirements associated with Assembly Bill 2511 in the 2022 CEC. Assembly Bill 2511 was signed into law by the governor late 2022, and it's related to skilled nursing facilities. This new law requires that skilled nursing facilities have on-site provisions to provide backup power to support comfort temperatures for the patients or for the occupants, and to support life-saving equipment and oxygen generating devices. And then the third category is we're proposing to add requirements that are found in the 2019 NFPA 99, essentially testing requirements that we see. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start the items. Item number 1 falls, if there's any questions, I guess I'll give everybody a chance if there's any questions. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and start. Item number 1 falls under the category of pulling forward language from the 2023 National Electric Code. And this allows for reduced demand loads for healthcare receptacles in patient spaces. Item number 2 is associated with the AB 2511, the new requirements for SNF's alternate power sources. And that's essentially just adopting that law into code. Item number 3 is again pulling forward language from the National Electric Code, healthcare microgrid and healthcare microgrid control system. We'll see that these are required to support item number 8 and item number 11. Item number 5, again, is AB 2511 related, and that introduces the definitions that are found in this legislation for life-saving equipment and oxygen generating devices. We didn't have language for these terms in our code. Item number 5 is pulling language from NFPA 99 requirements into our California Electric Code, and that has to do with grounding systems testing for receptacles in patient care area. Item number 6, we're going to withdraw that. That was one that was not approved, and we're going to go ahead and withdraw that. Item number 7 is again adding NFPA 99 requirements, and it is for the designation of wet procedure locations. Item number 8 is pulling forward language from the National Electric Code. And this is to add in healthcare microgrids as acceptable power sources for essential electrical systems for hospitals. Again, this is the same language that was used in the 2023 National Electric Code, and we're pulling it into our code effectively, proposing to pull it into our code effectively 18 months early. Item number 9 has to do with receptacle identification for the essential branch in hospitals. You'll see there's a number of these identification. We had previously required identification for receptacles and switches, which deviated from the national requirements, and now we're going back to the national requirements of just requiring identification for the devices, the receptacles themselves. Item number 10 clarifies that only one autoclave equipment needs to be connected to essential power for our hospitals. Item number 11 is pulling forward language from the NEC, and this is allowing healthcare microgrids to be acceptable power sources for the emergency system in skilled nursing facilities. Item number 12, again, this is receptacle identification. It shows up numerous times in the code. This is for the essential branch in skilled nursing facilities. Item number, excuse me for a second. Item number 13 has to do with connection to equipment branch. And this is essentially not requiring receptacles in psychiatric beds. Item number 14 is receptacle identification. Again, this is in other healthcare facilities. Item number 15 is NFPA 99 requirements. This is for line isolation, monitor testing, and circuits in the ORs. This is related to the definition or the requirements as far as designation of wet procedure locations. Item number 16 is fire pump transfer switches to have isolation bypass features in our hospitals. Item number 17 is required to disconnect means for electric power production equipment to be located as near as practical where the conductors enter or leave OSHPD jurisdiction. This is related to the microgrid topic and is essentially just allowing that there is a single disconnect point. Thank you for your time and consideration for approval. Happy to answer any questions or go over any items that have been presented.
Thank you for that overview. At this time, I'd like to open it up to our commission members for discussion. And I'll call on each commissioner, starting with Commissioner Alegre.
No comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Stockwell,
No questions.
Commissioner Rambin,
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Haskin,
Yeah, no comments.
Commissioner Ramirez. Oh, absent. Sorry. Gotta make sure I take that off. Commissioner Patel.
I did have a question. Hey, James, I noticed that on some of the comments that we received from the Code Advisory Committee regarding items 1 through 5, their concern was that some of the definitions from NFPA 99 should be reviewed and discussed with the state fire marshal.
Yes, sir.
Were you able to do that? Was OSHPD able to talk to the state fire marshal, or do you?
Yes, I talked to them directly and we were on the same page.
They're nodding their heads as well, so. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Santillan and Commissioner Sasaki.
Yeah, just a question about adopting the 2023 NEC model code language. So there's just specific sections where we're adopting that language?
Yes, sir. I reviewed all of the changes and those three items. Number one is to allow a higher demand factor for receptacles at the patient area. So there was an extensive national study that took measurements and determined that the electrical systems could take these demand factors, which would then allow for lower, smaller transformers, smaller generators. And so I thought it was in the best interest. We thought it was in the best interest of the state to adopt it early, just to allow that. As it turns out, in California, there was a number of people that were very interested in that and that pushed that through. And so seeing that that is accepted nationally, we had no issue with those calculations. And we thought, let's allow people to take advantage of that and to lower cost for hospital construction.
Thank you. And are portions of the electrical code, California electrical code, still rely on NFPA 99 language and requirements?
No, sir.
No. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll now take comments from members of the public on item number 5. If you would like to speak on this item and are present, please fill out a comment card and come up here to the podium. Do I have anybody that wants to make a comment on this item? Seeing none. Ms. Tersley, do I have anybody on Zoom or on the telephone line?
We have one hand raised in Zoom. Ted?
Yeah, Ted Tiffany, public citizen. I just want to thank the commission for taking up these considerations for microgrid applications in the healthcare sector. A lot of hard work went into this. I want to thank Walt Vernon and Steve Gutman and the OSHPD board for considering these changes. It goes a lot to help us decarbonize healthcare. And I just want to voice my thanks for the commission and hope we have a positive vote on this. Really appreciate all the hard work.
Okay.
Thank
There
you.
are no other hands raised. We have the one phone participant. The phone participant ending in 7713 as a comment. Now is the time. Okay, no comment there. That is all of the public comments.
Thank you so much. And then a question for the Building Standards Commission staff. Were any written comments submitted to the commission prior to the meeting? If so, would you please summarize them?
No comments received, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. That concludes the public comment portion. I will turn item number 5 back over to the commission and entertain a motion to consider the Office of Statewide Health Planning and Development, OSHPD 04/22, proposed adoption of amendments to the 2022 California Electrical Code, Part 3, Title 24. Do I have a motion?
Commissioner Patel, I make that motion.
Moved by Commissioner Patel. Do I have a second?
Commissioner Sasaki, seconds.
With a second. Are there any additional comments or further discussion? All right, hearing none. Ms. Mayada, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Patel,
Aye.
Commissioner Santillan. Commissioner Haskin,
Aye.
Commissioner Alegre. Aye. Commissioner Stockwell.
Aye.
Commissioner Sasaki,
Aye.
Commissioner Rambin.
Aye.
Thank you.
The vote was unanimous and the motion is carried. Now moving our attention to item number 6, which is also an item to be presented by the Office of Statewide Health Planning and Development. It is package 05/22. The proposed adoption of amendments to the 2022 California Mechanical Code, Part 4, Title 24. We are being joined by a representative from OSHPD. Please identify yourself and provide us an overview of the item. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Lawrence Enright, Senior Mechanical Engineer for OSHPD Building Standards. Oh, yes, sorry about that. Good morning again. I'm Lawrence Enright, Senior Mechanical Engineer for OSHPD Building Standards Unit. This proposal is for the 2022 Intervening California Mechanical Code, Part 4. Proposed amendments were presented to the Hospital Building Safety Board's Codes and Process Committee on July 14th, 2022 and October 13th, 2022. The code package was submitted to the California Building Standards Commission on December 1st, 2022, and was heard by the CBSC Plumbing, Electrical, Mechanical, and Energy Code Advisory Committee on March 15th and 16th. As noted on the Commission action table, the Code Advisory Committee recommend approve on all but one proposed code change. OSHPD agreed with the committee's recommendation to further study the one item, and subsequently OSHPD made changes prior to the 45-day comment period. OSHPD received several support comments to the code changes for section 320.1.1 during the 45-day public comment period, and that was held on April 21st through June 5th, 2023. For the proposal summary, for brevity, I'll provide an overview of the main code changes. The proposed action is to make technical amendments to Title 24, Part 4, which include item 1, amend language to allow adiabatic atomization humidifiers. Added language based on Assembly Bill 2511, which requires backup power to provide safe temperatures in skilled nursing facilities, and provide specific distance for generator exhaust to building openings based on national standards. For items 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, the main issues are coordinate air intake and exhaust discharge requirements with the national standards, clean up CMC Table 4A with minor changes, add in filter requirements for recirculating units and outpatient spaces to align with hospital and nursing spaces. And lastly, item 7, increase minimum filter ratings to bring in alignment with other state agencies, and increase filter ratings for operating rooms to bring in alignment with national standards. This concludes the overview of rulemaking file for OSHPD. I believe that's 0622. Amendments to the 2022 California Mechanical Code. We respectfully request your approval, and we are happy to answer any questions or provide further detail.
Thank you for that overview. Item number 6 is open for the commission for discussion. And I'd like to start with Commissioner Stockwell.
No questions.
Commissioner Ramden,
No questions. Thanks.
Commissioner Haskin.
Yeah, I've got one question on under item 1 for 324.0 diesel powered emergency generators. They're calling for a minimum horizontal distance between the generator exhaust and the property line. Not a minimum distance, but a horizontal distance. What's the reason for the horizontal distance versus just, total distance?
Rather than like a diagonal distance, we're looking for a plan view horizontal distance separation from the placement to the property line.
Because just from experience on previous projects on a multi-story building, a horizontal distance can still be really short, and those 2 points can be, several floors away from each other. So I'm just curious, and with the small footprint facility, that would be an issue. Extending that as a horizontal distance might create a complication. I don't really see a need for, for it to be horizontal, but
so I believe that one is also a shorter distance than the standard for openings, and this is just to keep it from property lines where they can build or may build in the future.
has it also for exhaust outlets to operable doors, windows, and intake openings. It also says horizontal separation under that point.
Lawrence, just a quick, can you speak a little bit closer to the mic? Thank you.
One second. So we did revise based on the committee. And for the first section, I believe we just had horizontal distance. I believe we added minimum horizontal separation distance to make it a little more cleaner.
Okay. I think that's the end of my comment, because I don't see this getting in the way of it, but I see that as being another amendment that's gonna end up having to come around and be brought up later. So we can move forward.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sasaki,
No questions.
Commissioner Patel,
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Santillan, and Commissioner Alegre.
No questions.
Okay, we will now take comments from members of the public on item number 6. At this time, I would like to remind the public who wish to speak on item number 6 to put yourself in the queue by raising your hand in the Zoom feature. But if you are here and in the building and you would like to speak, please come forward. All right, Barbara.
Yes, first comment is going to be Commissioner Klaus Bruckner.
Commissioner Klaus Bruckner.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, this is Ellie Klaus Bruckner, member of the public representing myself. I would like to, actually, my question was also a follow-up to the last question, which is on item 324. One friendly suggestion or amendment is to remove local AHJ and replace it with authority having jurisdiction. Local is not defined, authority having jurisdiction does. And that could create a potential litigation issue if you put local when it's not defined. The other question actually that I had was follow up to the last conversation we just had, and it's regarding whether this is related to indoor or outdoor or both. I think that was the point of confusion between what was just asked just now was I think the intent of 324 is for outdoor diesel power generators, and I just wanted a clarification on that because the way it's a proposed new language in a new section, and it doesn't clarify if it applies to both indoor or outdoor. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Would Oshped like to respond to that?
Yes, so this is specifically to the discharge of the diesel exhaust. So regardless if it's inside the building or if it's outside, the discharge is still going to be exterior of the building. This is to protect the openings to the building and then also not provide any hazard to an adjacent property. So this would apply specifically to the exhaust discharge, which is always going to be discharged exterior of the building. So it doesn't rely on location of the generator, whether it's in or out.
And then the comment about the use of local versus jurisdictional.
I agree with that. We could.
I'm sorry.
I agree with that. We could, I guess, approve with amended if we could do change in language to write out authority having jurisdiction. If that would be up to the commission.
We can. Okay. Thank you. And I'm going to ask you to actually swap that mic. Maybe the battery might be not great on that one. Thank you so much. We'll see if that one works a little better. Are there any other comments from the public?
There are no other hands raised. We do have the one phone participant, person ending in 7713. If you have a comment, now is the time. Looks like we have no further comments from the public.
Okay, were there any written comments submitted to the commission prior to the meeting? If so, please summarize them, Mr. Day.
No comments received, Madam Chair.
Okay, so that concludes the public comment portion, and I'll turn this back over to the commission to entertain a motion to consider the Office of Statewide Health Planning and Development, Package 0522, which is the proposed adoption of amendments to the 2022 California Mechanical Code, Part 4, Title 24.
This is Commissioner Patel. I just had one comment before that, Madam Chair. I agree with the comment that Ellie made from the public that we should strike the word local before AHJ and 324 because OSHPD 3 sometimes does come to the locals for approval. So this would make it clear that it's intended to be for all occupancies that OSHPD has. And with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the package with the amendment that we remove the word local in section 324. That's okay.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Also, I think Commissioner Klaus Bruckner's other point was also good in not using the abbreviation AHJ, but in spelling it out, authority having jurisdiction as a defined term. So with that caveat, I will second that motion.
Thank you. Sorry, taking notes. We have a motion and a second. The motion is to do pass as amended with the amendment to strike the word local and to spell out authority having jurisdiction. Are there any other comments or discussion regarding this item or the motion? Hearing none. Ms. Maeda, please call the roll.
Commissioner Rambin,
Aye.
Commissioner Legray,
Aye.
Commissioner Stockwell, Commissioner Sasaki,
Aye.
Commissioner Patel,
Aye.
Commissioner Santillan, Commissioner Haskin.
Aye.
Thank you.
The vote is unanimous and the motion carries. Now, moving on to item number 7, staying with our friends at the Office of Statewide Health Planning and Development. This is package 0622, the proposed adoption of amendments to the 2022 California Plumbing Code, Part 5, Title 24. Please restate your name for the record and then provide an overview of the item. Thank you.
Hello, I'm again Lawrence Enright, Senior Mechanical Engineer for the OSHPD Building Standards Unit, and I will be covering Part 5 of Title 24. So this proposal is for the 2022 Intervening California Plumbing Code, Part 5. Proposed amendments were presented to the Hospital Building Safety Board's Codes and Process Committee on July 14th, 2022 and October 13th, 2022. The code package was submitted to the California Building Standards Commission on December 1st, 2022, and was heard by the CBSC Plumbing, Electrical, Mechanical, and Energy Code Advisory Committee on March 15th and 16th. The commission action tables reflect the Code Advisory Committee recommend approve on all but one proposed code change. OSHPD agreed with the committee's recommendation to further study the one item, and subsequently OSHPD made changes prior to the 45-day comment period. This code package received no comments during the 45-day public comment period, which was held April 21st through June 5th, 2023. And then the agency proposal summary. The proposed action is to make technical amendments to Title 24, Part 5, and include Item 1, adding tolerance to discharge of gooseneck spout for hand washing fixtures. Item 2, added compounding ante and buffer rooms as sensitive space to provide special precautions for plumbing. Item 3, clarified domestic hot water alarm is to be on essential power. Items 4 and 5, consolidate plumbing fixture requirements into Table 4.2 and add requirements currently not addressed in Table 4.2 in accordance with CBSC and FGI requirements. Item 6 is an editorial change to remove the NSF 14 reference standard year. Item 7, add exception to exempt redundant water heaters for primary care clinics where the hot water is limited to hand washing. Item 8, remove the OSHPD 1R designation and updated dialysis material requirements for piping. And this is with currently adopted AAMI standard. Items 9 and 10. This is an editorial change to update the CBC code section reference. CBC section change from 1616A 1.1.42 and the CBC amendment is changed to 1617A.1.40. So this concludes the overview of rulemaking file OSHPOD 0722 amendments to the 2022 California Plumbing Code. We respectfully request your approval and are happy to answer any questions or provide further detail.
Thank you for that overview. I'd like to open this item up for commission discussion, starting with Commissioner Rambin.
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Haskin,
No questions, thanks.
Commissioner Patel,
No questions.
Commissioner Santillan, Commissioner Sasaki,
No questions.
Commissioner Alegre,
No questions.
and Commissioner Stockwell. I'll take take comments from members of the public at this time on item number 7. Is there anybody in the auditorium that would like to make comments on this item? Is there anybody on Zoom or on the telephone that would like to add comments?
We have no hands raised in Zoom and we currently have no phone participants.
Very good. To the Building Standards Commission staff, were there any written comments submitted to the commission prior to this meeting? If so, can you please summarize them?
No comments received, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. That concludes the public comment portion. Turning item 7 back over to the commission and entertain a motion to adopt the Office of Statewide Health and Planning and Development Package 0622, which are the proposed adoption of amendments to the 2022 California Plumbing Code, Part 5, Title 24. Do I have a motion?
Commissioner Rambin move to approve.
Thank you. Do I have a second? It has been moved and seconded. Is there any other further discussion on this item? Hearing none, Ms. Maeda, please conduct a roll call vote.
Commissioner Stockwell. Commissioner Sasaki.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Commissioner Santillan. Commissioner Haskin.
Aye.
Commissioner Rambin.
Aye.
Commissioner Alegre.
The vote is unanimous and it carries. Quick point of order, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Staff pointed out, we missed on the last item. It was an approve as amend with a friendly amendment. We need a 9-point criteria justification for that. I would suggest possibly based on the discussion agenda item, or I'm sorry, criteria 6, vague and ambiguous, just to clarify the language like the commissioner suggested.
Okay, so do I need to actually take a vote on the justification or just?
I think as long as the motioner and the second are in agreement with the criteria, we can just, I don't think we need a vote.
I'm agreed.
Thank you.
I'm also agreed.
Thank you.
Sorry
Thank you
about
for that. No, thank you so much. Okay. Now we're going to move back. Sorry, scrolling back. We are now going to turn our attention to item number. Thank you so much for OSHPD for being here. Thank you so much. Moving on to agenda item 8, which is the Office of the State Fire Marshal, Package 0422, which is the proposed adoption of amendments to the 2022 California Electrical Code, Part 3, Title 24. Please introduce yourselves and provide us with an overview of item number 8, please.
Morning, Commissioners. I'm Andrew Henning. I'm the Assistant Deputy Director at the CAL FIRE Office of the State Fire Marshal, and one of the programs I oversee is the Code Development and Analysis Division. Chief Berlant sends his regards. He's currently our acting State Fire Marshal. He's currently on the East Coast at the National Association of State Fire Marshals. I know he was hoping to be able to join us virtually, but the timelines didn't line up with his meetings over there. Our Code Development Analysis staff will present to you today the proposed regulations that will amend Parts 3, 4, and 5 of Title 24 of the California Code of Regulations. The State Fire Marshal holds the broad authority and responsibility to develop and enforce fire safety regulations and code across the state. The State Fire Marshal continuously reviews and updates the fire safety codes to align with the latest industry standards and technological advancements. This ensures that California remains up to date by setting the minimum standards for building construction, fire protection systems, and hazardous materials handling. By taking this proactive approach with the collaboration with stakeholders, experts, and public entities, this safeguards the State Fire Marshal's vital role of protecting the lives and properties of Californians from fire-related incidents. The State Fire Marshal Part 4 California Mechanical Code proposal will adopt and approve, or will propose to adopt language from the 2024 Uniform Mechanical Code, which will bring in the use of A2L refrigerants for residential cooling equipment for early adoption for California. The key benefits for this proposal are they have significantly lower global warming potential compared to traditional refrigerants. A2Ls can contribute to improved energy efficiency, and the proposal has been subject to the rigorous safety testing. We are kindly seeking approval for the State Fire Marshal 2022 intervening code cycles for parts 3, 4, and 5, and co-development staff will take it from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. This is Crystal Sujeski, Acting Division Chief of Code Development and Analysis. Part 3, item or agenda item 6. We ask your approval.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, agenda item 8.
Thank you.
We ask your approval, and I can give a little brief overview. This is in alignment with what we've done in the other parts to further clarify state-owned and specified state-occupied buildings. Part 3 was in the admin section, or Article 89 was missed during the triennial, and this is to align with the other parts. We ask for your approval. Thank you.
Thank you for that overview. I'm going to open this up for commission discussion. Again, we are just taking up item number 8 at the moment. Commissioner Haskin?
No questions.
Commissioner Patel?
No questions.
Commissioner Santion?
No questions.
Commissioner Sasaki?
No questions.
Commissioner Alegre?
No questions.
Commissioner Stockwell?
No questions.
And Commissioner Ramban?
No questions, thanks.
We'll now take comments from the members of the public on item 8 at this time. Do we have anybody in the auditorium that would like to make comments on item number 8? If not, moving to Zoom and to telephone.
Yes, we have Ted.
Yeah, Ted Tiffany, California citizen, designer. I just want to thank the State Fire Marshal for looking into the A2L refrigerant issue and developing the codes and standards for this. Very important towards our decarbonization goals and getting the OEM manufacturers to develop more heat pump technologies with advanced refrigerants. So I appreciate the commission's consideration of this and hope for a favorable vote.
Thank you. Any other?
Yes. Next we have Ellie.
Thank you. Go ahead.
My apologies. Are we only looking at State Fire Marshal 04-22 and not 05-22? Are we
Correct.
only at item 8?
Correct.
Okay, I'm going to lower my hand. Thank you.
Thank you.
There are no other hands raised in Zoom.
Great. Thank you so much. Mr. Day, were there any comments received by the commission prior to the meeting?
No comments received, Madam Chair.
Thank you. That concludes the public comment portion for item number 8, turning it back over to the commission and I will entertain a motion at this time to consider the Office of the State Fire Marshal 04/22 proposed adoption of the amendments to the 2022 California Electrical Code, Part 3, Title 24. Do I have a motion?
Commissioner Sasaki moved to approve.
Have a motion. Do we have a second?
Commissioner Allegri seconds.
It is moved and seconded that the Office of the State Fire Marshal SFM 04/22 adoption of the 2022 California Electric Code Part 3 Title 24 be adopted. Is there any other comments or conversation on this item? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Commissioner Stockwell. Commissioner Sasaki.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Commissioner Santillan. Commissioner Ramban.
Aye.
Commissioner Allegri.
Aye.
Commissioner Haskin.
Aye.
Thank you.
The vote is unanimous and the motion is carried. Now, staying with the California State Fire Marshal, we are moving to item number 9. The Office of the State Fire Marshal SFM Package 0522, which is proposed adoption of amendments to the 2022 California Mechanical Code, Part 4, Title 24. Please go ahead, Fire Marshal.
Again, Crystal Sujeski, acting Division Chief for Code Development Analysis from CAL FIRE Office of the State Fire Marshal. We ask your approval for our amendment proposals for Part 4. I'll give you a brief rundown of the chapters and ask for questions. Chapter 1, again, is aligning with the other parts of what we did to further clarify specified state occupied buildings. Chapter 6, we collaborated with OSHPD, HCI, for air moving systems and duct detectors, and then for those I2 occupancies. Chapter 11 is really the big ask. We participated with many stakeholders in the development of the 2024 Uniform Mechanical Code, followed that process on the national level. What we're presenting to you today for chapters 11, 13, 16, and 17 is different, but for those chapters, to bring in early the approved provisions for the A2L refrigerants for residential use. Again, those are the provisions that were approved at IATMO's conference for the 2024 Uniform Mechanical Code. To add to that, chapter 17, we're asking for the adoption of the latest edition for the UL 60335-240, and then to update the NFPA standards 37 and 409 to align with the other parts in Title 24, specifically the Fire and Building Code. We ask for your approval. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that overview. Item 9 is open for commission discussion, starting with Commissioner Patel.
No questions at this time.
Thank you. Commissioner Santillan.
No questions.
Commissioner Sasaki.
No questions.
Commissioner Allegri.
No question.
Commissioner Stockwell. Commissioner Ramban.
No questions, thanks.
And Commissioner Haskin.
No questions, thank you.
Take comments from the members of the public on item number 9. At this time, is there anybody in the auditorium that would like to come forward to speak on item number 9? Seeing none, going to the Zoom lines and to the telephone lines.
Yes, first comment is going to be from Bob Raymer.
Okay, Mr. Raymer.
Thank
Go
you,
ahead.
Madam Chair and Commissioners. This is Bob Raymer, representing the California Building Industry Association. And we're in strong support of the fire marshal's adoption of Part 4. We were part of that task force that Crystal just alluded to. And we've been assured that as we approach the triennial code adoption cycle, that the task force will be brought back together and do a very itemized comparison of what is in the UMC versus what the fire marshal's adopting. So with that, I know that there's probably going to be some requested amends, but we're good to go with this package. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, next comment is Ellie.
Ms. Klaus-Bruckner, go ahead.
Hi, this is Ellie Klaus-Bruckner representing myself. Just a friendly amendment. Refrigeration, machinery room, and refrigeration system is defined in the mechanical code. But refrigerating and machinery room and refrigerating systems is not. Would it be possible to replace refrigerating machinery room with refrigeration machinery room and refrigerating systems with refrigeration systems?
Ms. Klaus-Bruckner, can you point us to which section of the code you're specifically referring to?
There's a lot of it.
It's throughout.
Throughout, yes. Do you want me to give you a couple of examples?
Yes, please.
So let's say item 5-16. Under refrigerant sensors, it says refrigerating systems in 3 places. Under 5-29, 1106.4 natural ventilation, it says refrigerating systems. Under 5-33, it again says refrigerating machinery room. Under 5-39, it says refrigerating machinery room. Should I keep going?
No, I think that that's probably sufficient because I think that.
Sorry.
No, I think that that's good. And then just going back to the fire marshal, would it be acceptable to take, is there, to make consistency by changing refrigerating system to, I forget what she had commented. Refrigerant.
Greg Anderson with the Office of the State Fire Marshal's Office. The way we brought this package in was working with IAPMO, and we used directly what the language that they had given us as approved. That was before it was published, and they may even clean up some of this language in their publication, which just came out. So it goes down to the definition. We did not review it and possibly change it or give some cleanup. I'm not going to say we're neutral on this. We always look for the best language that we can, but given the timeframes, we took what we had and moved forward. Thanks.
Thank you. Before I go back to the commissioner, were there any other comments from the public, either online? Or yes, okay.
So next comment is from Andrew.
Good morning, commissioners. Thank you. My name is Andrew Klein. I represent Comores. You have been provided a written comment from AHRI. We noticed that there was a hole in the code specifically for high probability commercial refrigeration systems. So we wanted to plug that. So it's explicit that those systems have to follow ASHRAE 15 as well. So we do ask, we consider that a friendly amendment to Part 4 there. Thank you.
Our next comment is from Robert.
Go ahead.
Yes, good morning. Robert Glass with Daikin Comfort Technologies. First of all, I'd like to thank the State Fire Marshal for putting this package together. There's a ton of information and critical to the advancement of the HVAC and refrigeration industry and all of the residents of California. I also submitted some comments, and in that there were 2 editorial comments that either I can outline here or when you talk about the submitted comments as far as summarizing what needs to be done. And then there was one additional in item 5-12 where the last part of that sentence said the value specified in section 1104.6.6b, and the final revision from the UMC was that that value specified, that portion was struck out, and it basically the end of that sentence just says below the refrigerant detection set point, period. And so we'd like to go ahead and again, through friendly amendment, have the added to the proposals in accordance with the 2024 UMC. Thank you.
Ellie, did you have another comment or did I miss your hand?
I had another comment, my apologies.
Go ahead.
There is another friendly amendment, and it's under item 4-2. It's on page 6 of 33.
Go ahead.
Okay, so it's under 609.1.1. Duct smoke detectors shall comply with UL 268A, shall be labeled by an approved agency. And I think approved and listed by California State Fire Marshal's Office. That comma needs to be removed. Otherwise, it's going to imply that it has to be approved by the AHJ. And I think the intent is approved and listed by the State Fire Marshal's Office. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
We have nodding from the State Fire Marshal's Office, so you are correct.
Thank you. It's a friendly amendment.
Okay. Any other comments from members of the public?
Yes. So our next comment is going to be from Hugo.
Go ahead.
Yes, good morning. Hugo Aguilar from Miami. I just want to let everyone know that I'm on the call. If there's any questions on what went on in the UMC cycle, I oversee the process. So if there's any specific questions on what occurred during the process or what the board decided on the latest language, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
That is our last hand raised, and we have no phone participants.
Thank you, Mr. Day. Were there any written comments submitted to the commission, and could you please summarize them?
None in advance of the commission meeting, Madam Chair.
Okay. Thank you. That concludes the public comment portion, and I'd like to turn item 9 back over to the commission and entertain a motion to consider the Office of the State Fire Marshal SFM 0522 proposed adoption of amendments to the 2022 California Mechanical Code Part 4 Title 24. And if we are going to amend, to please remember your 9-point justification.
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Patel. Could I ask the State Fire Marshal's Office? There was a couple of different issues that were brought up. Could you address those if you remember what they were? There's one about the high pressure system and thank you.
Crystal Sujeski, Cal Fire Office of the State Fire Marshal. So item 4-2 to remove the comma, we accept that amendment. The alignment with the definition in refrigerant systems throughout. If we could work with Building Standards Commission staff in that codification, we accept that amendment. The other one on, I think it was, can you give me the item number?
It was,
I think it was 5-12. So for 5-12, the intent of this package was to align with what was approved and printed for the UMC, the 2024 UMC. So if that was missed, we do accept that amendment as well. We don't have the printed version right here right now to verify that, so.
okay, so perhaps the amendment would be to conform to, I don't know what the, sorry.
Yeah.
2024 uniform mechanical codes.
Yeah, the intent is to align with what was printed with the 2024 UMC. So we'd have to verify that and maybe work with BSC staff in codification.
I think that's funny.
Yeah, this is Kevin. I'm trying to keep track of all the amendments and want to make sure that I know that the general gist is to be in alignment with the 2024 UMC. I just want to make sure that none of these friendly amendments are substantive. I think we're hearing the removing the comma seems pretty straightforward, and that could be under criteria 6, to address, vague and ambiguous, to clarify that. But I think we need clarity in the motion. So if it's Ellie's first comment, is it refrigerating room is the defined term?
The refrigerant systems.
Refrigerant system.
So this is Commissioner Haskin. I've got it open, refrigeration, machinery rooms, refrigeration systems. The word refrigeration is in all of the definitions. There's no definitions for refrigerating, and that being a verb, it doesn't necessarily carry the same weight, or it doesn't necessarily assume the same meanings in all cases. But the Office of the State Fire Marshal being willing to work through those, I think the intent is pretty obvious. The third item, though, is we need some more clarification on. I don't know that we need to know what the amendment was before we could approve on that one.
Yeah, that was my main hope, is that we get clarity on this motion so that we know what we can work with SFM on.
And this is Greg Anderson, State Fire Marshal. I have a lot of questions on the adding of a new section. Whether something was really missed and there's a hole in the codes, and if that so, it should have been addressed at IAPMO. It may have been missed, but we also have another chance in 18 months to look at this again, and working with our work group to determine that. I believe by the addition, it is actually covered by another section, but I cannot verify that at this time.
So I feel like I'm here.
Which edition are you referring to? Which portion?
The addition of our goal is to match with what's coming out in the 24 codes. That's just being published. The information we received for the packages came from IAPMO. Now they do some cleanup and some coordination, but not to change any of the intent. So it is possible with Ellie's friendly amendment was to change the term. That actually may be done by IAPMO, but we didn't have that done at this time. So we're moving forward what we have from IAPMO. The only difference we did is we updated the newest standards because they came out after IAPMO, just to match with the current editions.
This is Crystal, Cal Fire Office, State Fire Marshal. I think the question back to the commenter for item 5-12, what is it that's missed? They said that there was a whole sentence missing, I believe, right?
That public commenter is on the line if you wanted me to open that for them.
Go ahead. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners. Andrew Klein representing Comores. So, during the update at the IATMO process, this was missed. So unfortunately, it would be an additional subsection, but again, it's a subsection. It wouldn't screw up the numbering of any of the other sections. And to point out, we've also, Mr. Anderson can speak to it, but we did also have some updates, including updated references that are not fully in alignment in order to bring the California state code up to where it should be. But what this does, so high probability commercial refrigeration systems are not currently addressed in IATMO. So we're AHRI and Comores and Goodman and other manufacturers are also supporting this amendment in other jurisdictions that I adopt IATMO's code here. So I'm happy to answer any specific questions, but there's just a hole that's left in the code without this.
I appreciate your taking the additional time. It does, and I'll turn to legal here in a second, but it sounds like that is an amendment too far. It seems like that is too substantive for us to take up in this body. But so that there is another opportunity I'm hearing from the state fire marshal to include this. But also we could potentially include this in an information bulletin moving forward. Does I don't know who we have from legal counsel on the line if they want to weigh in.
This is Commissioner Rambo. Can I actually ask one question?
Yeah.
I think we had a commenter from IATMO on the phone or on Zoom. Could we ask a couple questions of that person of these two specific sections? Because we're looking at the published version from IATMO and it doesn't have this additional language that the commenters are talking about. So there's some
disconnect
here. Yeah.
Let me have legal counsel weigh in and then we'll go just because I have her on. And then we'll come back to Mr. Hugo. I don't know what his last name was. So sorry. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, Natalie Bocanegra, counsel for the commission. Based on the discussion, it does appear to be a substantive change that wouldn't be justified. It would be outside of the scope of the prior notices. However, that's just based on the discussion that I'm hearing. I would defer to the agencies with regard to what their opinion was on the scope of the proposal.
Thank you. Okay. It was
Hugo Aguilar, are you still on the line to possibly answer Commissioner Rambin's questions?
Yes, I am. I am. So to answer the question on item 5-12, what is shown in the express terms, it's what was published in the 2024 UMC. And now during the petition phase, there was some additional language that was proposed by some petitioners. However, because that language did not have the opportunity for public review, it was too late in the process to make further revisions. So what you see in the express terms is what was approved by the board and the technical committee of the Uniform Mechanical Code. Thank you.
I had one more question about the public comment on section, the addition of section 1104.10 about the A2L refrigerants for commercial applications.
What item number?
I think it was sort of outside of the items, but it was the alignment with what is actually being published in the new code versus what is addressed here. And it was a section 1104.10 specifically addressing A2L refrigerants for commercial applications.
1104.10. I don't see that here. It goes from 1104.
Thank you. I think that's the point, that it probably didn't get through that public process as well. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you for all of that. Are there any other public comments on this item? I'm going to.
That was it. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I'm going to conclude the public comment portion, and I'd like to turn this item back over to the commission to entertain a motion. And the way I won't make the motion. I'll let you all make the motion, but I do think that there were two amendments based on using the 9-point criteria, item number 6. Okay, so entertaining a motion to consider the Office of the State Fire Marshal SFM 0522 proposed adoption of amendments to the 2022 California Mechanical Code, Part 4, Title 24. Do I have a motion?
So I think we just need to clarify one point first, and that is the question on refrigerating versus refrigeration. What the question is whether that is a substantive change that, and that's, I think, the question that before we move forward with that, we need to identify if that's a substantive change.
Okay, I'm going to ask council to weigh in, and then I'll ask the fire marshal to weigh in as well.
So, I mean, it depends on how the code and the language is structured. And so without reviewing the current language in front of me, I wouldn't be able to tell you that. I think the fire marshal would probably have a better idea as to how that term is used throughout the code. I'm unable to tell you without looking at the language in front of me.
Thank you.
With regard to where it was used in other places in the code.
Right. Thank you for that. And then to the fire marshal.
Greg Anderson was the Office of the State Fire Marshal. I would say that we're matching with what's in the model code. So it's not just a California issue. This is a national issue. I think it's something we should look into the next cycle to clean up the language.
Thank you.
Okay, so to clarify, then we're looking at the only amendment then that we would be making now would be to remove the comma under item 4-2, section 609.1.1, duct smoke detectors, removing the comma after the word approved. And I think that the rest will have to be cleaned up in the next round. You know, so I propose, I move that we that we approve as amended with that single amendment only.
Based on the 9-point criteria item.
Item 6.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Commissioner Sasaki, second.
Thank you for that. Is there additional comments or discussion from the commissioners regarding this motion and second? Hearing none, Ms. Maeda, would you like to call the roll, please?
Commissioner Sasaki,
Aye.
Commissioner Rambin. Aye. Commissioner Stockwell. Aye. Commissioner Alegre.
Aye.
Commissioner Santillan. Commissioner Haskin.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Thank you.
The vote is unanimous and the motion carries. Now moving on to, let's see here. We are at 90 minutes. Let me check with our closed captioners. We have one more item for the Office of the State Fire Marshal. Would the closed captioners like to take a break now at the 90-minute mark, or would they like us to do one more and take a break after that? I don't know who has them on the line.
Anastasia, you want to take a break after? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Thank
Can we
you.
wait? Can we do one more item, or would they like to take a break now?
One more. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, then we can dismiss the fire marshal for the rest of the afternoon. So moving on, thank you so much for that. The Office of the State Fire Marshal, moving on to agenda item number 10 is package SFM 0622, the proposed adoption of amendments to the 2022 California Plumbing Code, Part 5, Title 24. State Fire Marshal, please provide us an overview.
This is Crystal Sujeski with CAL FIRE Office of the State Fire Marshal. I present to you today amendments for Part 5. Item 1 is the alignment of to more clearly clarify specified state occupied buildings, and it is in coordination with the other parts. And then item number 2 is to bring in NFPA 37 for engines and gas turbines. And this is in correlation with the fire code for those systems. Item 3, again, is bringing in the adoption of NFPA 37 to align with the fire code. We ask for your approval. Thank you.
Great, thank you for that. I would like to now hear from our commissioners, starting with Commissioner Patel.
Chris, I just had one quick question. The Code Advisory Committee mentioned that they were wondering why we didn't refer, for this for item 3, I apologize, to NFPA 37, the latest edition of 2021, but State Marshal chose the 2018. That's to be consistent with
the other parts.
Okay.
So if we had gone with the latest edition only for the plumbing code, it would be in misalignment with the other parts.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Commissioner Santown.
No questions.
Commissioner Sasaki,
No questions.
Commissioner Allegri,
No questions.
Commissioner Stockwell,
No questions.
Commissioner Rambin,
No questions.
and Commissioner Haskin.
No questions.
We'll now take comments from the members of the public on item number 10. At this time, do we have anybody in the auditorium that would like to come forward and make comments on this item? Seeing nobody, moving to Zoom and the telephone, Ms. Tressley.
We have no hands raised and there are currently no phone participants.
All right, thank you. Did we receive any comments submitted to the commission prior to the meeting?
No comments received, Madam Chair.
That concludes the public comment portion. I'd like to turn item 10 back over to the commission for a motion to consider the Office of the State Fire Marshal SFM 0622 proposed adoption of amendments to the 2022 California Plumbing Code, Part 5, Title 24. Thank you, Commissioner. Do I have a second?
Commissioner Patel, second.
It is moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion from the commissioners regarding this motion? Hearing and seeing none. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Rambin.
Aye.
Commissioner Allegri.
Aye.
Commissioner Stockwell. Commissioner Sasaki.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Commissioner Santian.
Aye.
Commissioner Haskin.
Aye.
Thank you.
The vote is unanimous and the motion is carried. At this time, thank you so much to the fire marshal for presenting your items to us today. We will take a 10-minute break and come back. We have, I'm hoping, 3 items left today. So let's come back at 11:47. Thank you. package HCD 0222, proposed adoption of amendments to the 2022 California Plumbing Code, Part 5, Title 24. Will the representative from the California Department of Housing and Community Development please come forward, introduce yourself, and provide us an overview of item number 11.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. I am Randy Enrico, and I'm a District Representative 2 with the State Housing Law Program.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Stockwell is not back.
He's right here. We're good. We have a quorum. We can continue. Okay, go ahead.
Am I being heard okay?
Can you get a little bit closer to your microphone? It's a little bit hard to hear.
Sure, it may just be my voice. How's that? Is that better?
I don't know, maybe it's the speakers in here. Can you guys hear okay?
It's okay.
It's okay. All right, not great, but we can hear you. I don't know if it's at our end or your end. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. I am Randy Enrico, and I'm a District Representative 2 with the State Housing Law Program representing the Department of Housing and Community Development. An overview of HCD's proposal for the 22 intervening cycle is as follows. Item 1, HCD proposes to restore a pointer in section 604.2 lead content to Health and Safety Code section 116875, which was repealed in a prior editions of the CPC due to duplications with the model code, and additionally to add a new pointer to Health and Safety Code section 116876, which was added by Assembly Bill 100 related to lead content and endpoint devices. This item is co-adopted with BSC. Item 2, HCD proposes to repeal the identifying year for NSF 14-2009 in section 605.9.1 fittings to avoid regularly monitoring and coordinating updates to future code cycles. This item is also co-adopted with BSC. Item 3, HCD proposes to add a reference in Chapter 6 to Section 610.5 to add Appendix M as an alternative method for sizing water supply systems. The proposed amendment adds a reference to Appendix M as an alternative method for sizing water pipes in new single-family and multifamily residential buildings. Item 4, HCD proposes to repeal references to reclaimed recycled water in sections 1501.9.1 and 1501.9.2 that are no longer relevant due to a DWR amendment to section 1501.9 in a previous code cycle, moving signage for reclaimed recycled water to section 1505.12. This item is also co-adopted with BSC. Item 5, HCD proposes to amend table 1701.1 referenced standards to include section 605.9.1 as a reference section for NSF 14. This item is also co-adopted with BSC. Item 6, HCD proposes to add an exception in Appendix A, Section A 103.1 that points to Appendix M as an alternative method to calculate supply-demand flow rates. This will provide the building, planning, and design community with a wider range of options for sizing water supply systems for new single-family and multifamily dwellings. Item 7, HCD proposes to adopt the 2021 UPC Appendix M into the 2022 CPC to provide an alternate method to calculate water supply demand loads. HCD also proposes to amend Section M 101.1 applicability to add the term alternative that clarifies that Appendix M as a voluntary alternative method to estimate the water supply demand load, and also to update the flow rates in table M 102.1 to provide consistency with maximum design flow rates for water conserving fixtures in the CPC, Cal Green, and the California Code of Regulations, Title 20, Appliance Efficiency Regulations under the authority of the California Energy Commission. That is the overview of the 22 CPC intervening cycle. Thank you.
Thank you for that overview of the proposal. Item 11 is open for commission discussion, starting with Commissioner Santillan.
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Sasaki.
No questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Alegre.
No questions.
Commissioner Stockwell. Commissioner Rambin.
No questions.
Commissioner Haskin.
No questions.
And Commissioner Patel.
I did have a question for HCD. You mentioned item 3, the language in item 3 and the language in item 7 related to alternative methods of sizing water supply systems. I wanted to ask you the intent that HCD has. Is the intent that you should use chapter 6 for sizing water systems for appendix A, but if you want to use appendix C or M, it's voluntary for the applicant to choose which of those methods to use? Or is it that if they use appendix C or M, that it's considered an alternate means and methods that should be approved by the local authority having jurisdiction?
It is an alternate method that's available for use. It is not mandatory. And it's not required approval by the local.
So it's up to the customer to choose which method they want to use.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you. We'd like to now take comments from the members of the public on item number 11. Is anybody in the room that would like to make comments? Seeing none. Zoom?
Yes, our first comment is going to be Bob.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Bob Raymer with the California Building Industry Association and the California Apartment Association, strongly supporting HCD's adoption and in particular Appendix M, the peak water demand calculator. And I agree with the answer that Randall just gave. So with that, thank you, and I hope you support this package.
Thank you.
That is the only hand raised, and we have no phone participants at the moment.
Okay. Do we have any written comments submitted to the commission prior to the meeting?
None received, Madam Chair.
That concludes the public comment portion, and I'll turn item number 11 back over to the commission and entertain a motion to consider the Department of Housing and Community Development, HCD 0222, proposed adoption of amendments to the 2022 California Public Code, Part 5, Title 24. Do I have a motion?
Commissioner Sasaki moved to approve.
Do I have a second?
Commissioner Haskin, move second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion from the commissioners regarding this motion? Hearing and seeing none, we'll now have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Patel,
Aye.
Commissioner Santillan, Commissioner Haskin,
Aye.
Commissioner Alegre. Aye. Commissioner Stockwell. Commissioner Sasaki,
Aye.
Commissioner Rambin.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. The vote is unanimous and the motion carries. Moving on to item number 12. It is the building standard, the California Building Standards Commission BSC 02-22. That was hard for me. Proposed adoption of amendments of the 2022 California Plumbing Code Part 5, Title 24. I see a representative from the Building Standards Commission has joined us. Please introduce yourself and present on item number 12. Get a little closer to the mic, please.
Is it?
And make sure it's green. Hit the button. There's a button at the bottom, make it green. Perfect.
How's that?
Perfect.
Okay. Good morning, Chairperson and committee members. My name is Tom Martin. I'm a Staff Services Manager 1 with the Building Standards Commission, and I'm here to present the Building Standards Commission's amendments to the 2022 California Plumbing Code. I would like to give you a high-level summary of our proposals. Item number 1 contains Building Standards Commission's amendments to the existing definition of gray water system to align with HCD's definition. Since this definition was adopted several cycles ago, it has been slightly different than HCD's. So BSC is striking the words "to be treated" to clarify that a gray water system includes both treated and untreated systems, consistent with HCD's definition. This will clean up the CPC by removing an unnecessary extra definition. There is no change in regulatory effect. Item 1 also contains a new definition for a privacy compartment that is used in the all-gender multi-user restroom proposal BSC is co-adopting with DSA. We're proposing this definition in response to comments received after our July stakeholder workshop, addressing questions received from building officials about the privacy elements of an all-gender multi-user restroom. BSC and DSA also further refined the definition in response to the 45-day public comments. This definition describes the intent of how privacy compartments enclose water closets or urinals. Item number 2 contains the bulk of BSC and DSA's co-adopted all-gender multi-user restroom exception, which early adopts and further amends language that would be included in the 2024 UPC. In response to requests from stakeholders, BSC and DSA held a joint workshop in July of 2022 to vet the early adoption of this proposal, which provides an exception to the UPC requirement for separate facilities for men and women. This amendment to section 422.1 fixture count specifies that the total number of plumbing fixtures for all gender multi-user restrooms shall comply with table 422.1 and also allows the substitution of a water closet for a urinal. We're also amending the exceptions to 422.2 separate facilities to add a new fourth exception indicating separate facilities are not required where restrooms have fixtures designed for use by all genders, where water closets and urinals are required to be located in privacy compartments. Just for clarification, this proposal is not a mandate, but an exception allowing all gender multi-user restrooms should the building owner or AHJ allow it. And it only applies to state buildings, state colleges, and university buildings for BSC, and then other occupancies for DSA, which they'll discuss. Item 3 contains a note that is being restored and further amended in section 604.2 lead content. It's a pointer to new and existing health and safety code sections relative to the maximum lead content of pipes and plumbing fittings. This pointer was inadvertently omitted during the past cycle and is now being restored and amended in coordination with HCD. And there's no change in regulatory effect. Item 4 contains amendments to section 605.9.1 fittings. It removes the year from the reference standard NSF 14-2009. Item 5 contains cleanup amendments that remove references to reclaimed recycled water from section 1501.9.1 and 1501.9.2 relative to signage for non-residential and residential gray water systems. Because similar provisions for recycled water system signage were relocated to section 1505 by DWR during a prior cycle. BSC and HCD are deleting these references to recycled water to clarify these signage provisions apply solely to non-residential and residential gray water systems. Lastly, item 6 contains a minor amendment to table 1701.1 reference standards, adding section 1605.9.1 to the referenced section column. Thank you.
Thank you for the overview of the proposal. Item 12 is open for commissioners' discussion, starting with Commissioner Santillan. Commissioner Sasaki,
No questions.
Commissioner Legre,
No questions.
Commissioner Stockwell, Commissioner Rambin.
I just want to thank this Building Standards Commission for and DSA also for bringing forward these requirements to no longer require the separate restrooms for both sexes. It's an issue that comes up in schools all the time now. So it's great to have some guidance and how to address the number of fixtures required. No other questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Haskin?
Just one minor question. Under item 1, the definition of privacy compartment says water closet or urinal. And I know in some cases they are designing these with both a water closet and a urinal. If that's the case, should that, is it the intention for it to be separate, or to allow that both a water closet and a urinal in a single compartment?
Well, the intent is to have a privacy compartment for each water closet or urinal.
Okay. That's all.
Thank you, Commissioner Patel.
I just had one procedural question, I guess. And I'm supportive of the change. You mentioned that like exception 4, because it has BSC written there, that it applies to the occupancies that BSC has authority over. If a local jurisdiction wants to use this for other occupants that are not governed by any other state agency, such retail store, an office building, would they have to formally adopt this as a local amendment? Or could they just use it when it gets published as part of the state code?
Kevin?
This is Kevin Day. Yeah, Commissioner Patel, they would need to formally adopt it because the intent of the code is to only apply to BSC occupancies. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. We will now take comments from members of the public on item number 12. At this time, is there anybody in this lovely auditorium that would like to make any comments on this item? If not, moving over to Zoom and to the telephone lines.
So we have no hands raised and no phone participants.
Thank you. Mr. Day, were there any written comments submitted to the commission prior to the meeting on this item?
None in advance. And just to tag on to my response to Commissioner Patel, like Tom said, that we're early adopting for these occupancies, but this is coming down in the next uniform plumbing code where it will be applicable to all occupancies. So in another 18 months, it'll get the wider scope. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that. That concludes the public comment portion. I'm going to turn this item back to the commission and entertain a motion to consider the Building Standards Commission BSC 02/22 proposed adoption of the amendments to the 2022 California Plumbing Code, Part 5, Title 24. Do I have a motion?
Commissioner Rambin moved to approve.
Commissioner Rammond, do I have a second?
Commissioner Patel, second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion from the commissioners regarding this item? Hearing and seeing none. Ms. Maida, please call the roll.
Commissioner Stockwell.
Aye.
Commissioner Sasaki,
Aye.
Commissioner Patel,
Aye.
Commissioner Santillan, Commissioner Haskin,
Aye.
Commissioner Rambin, Commissioner Legret.
Aye.
Thank you. The vote is unanimous and the motion is carried. Now moving on to item number 13, which is the Division of the State Architect DSA-SS 05/22. The proposed adoption of amendments to the 2022 California Plumbing Code, Part 5, Title 24. Thank you for joining us. And please state your name from the Division of the State Architect and provide us an overview of this item.
Good afternoon, Madam Commissioner and
Are we
Commissioners.
there already? We are.
We are slightly after.
Slightly afternoon. All right.
We're getting through it. My name is Eric Drever. I'm Principal Architect for the Division of the State Architect. Can you hear me okay? Is it coming through? Great. DSA is happy to present to you today our proposal for the amendments to the 2022 California Plumbing Code for the 2022 intervening code cycle. Our proposals, like VSC's, center on the co-adoption of regulations permitting all gender multi-user restroom facilities. The purpose of the regulations is to reduce gender inequities and provide for the ability to increase inclusiveness within the California Plumbing Code. By providing the proposed exceptions, it will allow school districts and community colleges under DSA's authority the ability to accept it or require restrooms designed to be more inclusive for all genders. During DSA's pre-cycle activities, we participated in the American Institute of Architects Central Valley's webinar entitled "We All Gotta Go, a Restroom for All" on May 20, which was conducted on May 24th, 2022. DSA collaborated with the Department of Education on a public ad hoc committee meeting and presentation entitled CDE's Safe School Bathrooms Ad Hoc Committee Meeting. DSA and DSA have monitored IAPMO's development of model code proposals for the 2024 UPC to ensure these proposals in front of you today are aligned with the IAPMO proposals. On July 19th, 2022, BSC and DSA hosted an all-gender plumbing code pre-cycle workshop considering different strategies where we received valuable feedback and from affected stakeholders from both during the meeting and afterwards via a pre-cycle request for public comments. On March 6th, 2023, BSC and DSA presented to CalBO at their annual meeting. And finally, on March 15th, DSA presented our proposals to the Building Standards Commission Code Advisory Committee. The 45-day comment period was conducted from April 21st to June 5th, and based upon comments received related to the definition on privacy compartments, DSA conducted a 15-day cycle comment period. And that was conducted from June 15th to June 30th. DSA requests approval of the amended building standards proposed for the 2022 California Plumbing Code in the intervening cycle. And I'm prepared to present those proposed amendments. However, in understanding the parent support and lack of public input, and that these were a co-adoption of the proposals just heard by the commission, I will take direction.
Great, thank you for that overview. I'm going to open this up for the commissioners for further discussion, starting with Commissioner Santillan. Commissioner Sasaki,
No questions.
Commissioner Alegre,
No questions.
Commissioner Stockwell, Commissioner Rambin,
No questions.
Commissioner Haskin,
No questions.
Commissioner Patel.
No questions.
We're going to open this up. Thank you very much. We're going to open this up for public comment. Anybody in our auditorium that would like to make any comments on item number 13? Seeing and hearing none, going to move to the telephone and Zoom lines.
There are no hands raised and there are no phone participants.
Thank you very much. Were there any written comments submitted to the commission prior to the meeting?
None received, Madam Chair.
That concludes the public comment portion of this item, and I'd like to turn item 13 back over to the commission and entertain a motion to consider the division of the state architect DSA-SS 05/22 proposed adoption of the amendments to the 2022 California Plumbing Code Part 5, Title 24. Do we have a motion? Do I have a second? It has been moved and seconded. Is there any other further discussion on this item? Hearing none, Ms. Maida, please call the roll.
Commissioner Stockwell. Commissioner Sasaki.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Commissioner Santillan. Commissioner Rambin. Commissioner Legray. Commissioner Haskin.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The vote is unanimous and the motion carries. I would like to thank you for coming and presenting your item we're doing 14, 15, and 16 are tomorrow morning. So we're going to keep those for the top of tomorrow morning. I would like at this time to thank our commissioners for their super speedy work this morning and the early afternoon. And I'd like to entertain a motion to recess until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, where we will take up the final 3 items from the Building Standards Commission, the Division of the State Architect, and the Department of Housing and Community Development.
Commissioner Sasaki, so moved.
Is there a second? Do I need a roll call, or can we just affirmatively say, are we good? Aye. Excellent.
We're
Thank
hungry.
you all.
We're hungry.
We're hungry. Thank you all. We'll see you tomorrow.